Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Happy Monday. Hope you guys are all doing well here in Texas. We are thawing. All the snow and ice and everything is gone.
Yes.
Everything feels very hopeful again. But yeah, we're really excited to talk about this topic. It's definitely a topic that we get asked about a lot. And I think it's one of those things, it's like so many things we do, and that finding and launching builders is a skill. And it takes like work and personal development and growth, but it is, I have builders. So I am like proof that even when you start with like bad mindset about it and not very good skills in it, you can still like achieve great results. And so the first thing that we wanted to talk about is you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get going. And I think honestly, that is like the number one thing that I credit my success to, is the fact that Tyler always calls me like, instead of like a ready, aim, fire sort of person, I'm mostly like a fire sort of person. I just like, let's go. And so I think through doing that, I've learned a lot in action. And then also personal development and growth has helped me to change the way I do things, but keeping in action has literally like saved our business time and time again.
I just want to ask, has anyone, or raise your hand either visually or virtually or whatever, have you reached out to somebody asking if they're interested in the Doterra opportunity and you like bombed, like not good?
I bombed. Yeah.
If you have a particularly great story, I would love to hear it in the chat. I have totally, but it was okay. It was a friend, and I was just like, I just had to be like, okay, I learned some things from that. We're still friends, and next time I do this, which I did, went a lot better the second time and the third time and the fourth time and every time after that.
So good.
Okay, so we're going to start with a couple disclaimers. First, I personally use the term builder and partner kind of interchangeably. I view our builders as partners. But in Doterra land, for some reason, the term builder is used a lot. So we're going to try to use that primarily here. But you might see partner. They're the same thing in our opinion. But who's this training for? So finding and launching builders is for you if you have goals to build residual income, you'd like to earn more than $100 a month with Doterra, you'd like to grow through the ranks to premier or higher, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, blue diamond, Prezi. Kristen likes to call it Prezi, which I think is fun. Or you want to multiply your effort and impact. There could be many other things, like you want to be a part of a team. You want to hone in on your strengths and collaborate more effectively and efficiently. There's a lot of reasons why finding and launching builders would be applicable for you, but these are a few. First things first, before we talk about how to find builders, how to launch builders, we really have to do some inner work. We need to know why we are doing this. Why are we excited about building a Doterra business? Because if we're not excited and enthusiastic about the work that we get to do, and we invite someone else into that, and they know that they're going to be working with us, how excited are they going to be to join us? How open to joining us are they going to be? Probably not very much. So I would just challenge you, and you can put this in the chat if you know it and you're on it. Put it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. But why are you excited about a Doterra business? Why are you excited to do this work? There's a lot of reasons for us. You can see a couple of them here. We believe there's a better way to health and healing than what a lot of people are experiencing and what a lot of people rely on these days. So that is a big reason why we do this work. And we believe that network marketing is an incredible model to create empowerment and freedom in so many aspects and in so many areas. of life. But those are a couple for us. Did you want to add anything?
We're really wrecked for like 9 to 5, getting paid an hourly wage sort of work. And so it like, when I think about the business and inviting partners into this with us, I get nearly like, I mean, sometimes lately I've been almost more excited inviting partners into this work than customers. I get excited for both, but it's just like the business is such a gift. It changes lives, and we like get so excited to dream with our leaders and help them experience financial freedom and earning residual income through the business model. And so you getting clear on that for you and what that looks like for your family, and then also like why you're excited to help other people with that is really, really supportive.
Yeah.
So I just added this quote in here because I think it's so good. It says, your story is the most important thing you have to influence your mission, message, and movement to create the kind of income and impact you're capable of. And I think, honestly, this hit home the most for me after we started teaching like the daily mentor call, Elise Chedevy style intro to oils class, because during the intro to oils class, she has you teach about the business in a very like foundational way, just like a small exposure. And I did that class so many times during Diamond Club last year. And during that intro to the biz portion, she talks about the 3 types of people. You guys like all probably have it memorized. You've heard me say it probably many times. And it talks about somebody that lives Doterra, somebody that shares Doterra, and somebody that builds Doterra. And as I taught that time and time again, I naturally just started to share my story within that. And I shared how at one point I was somebody that was just a customer, and I loved Doterra, and I loved the gift that Doterra offered our family in incredible products at a great price with all sorts of rewards perks. And then I became a sharer after my son was born, or well, no, slightly before my son was born, because I was just loving helping other people with it. And I couldn't help myself but talk about them. And it was fun to help get some of our products paid for. And then once our son was born, and even when Tyler was diagnosed with Graves' disease, I share this story of how like light bulbs turned on for me. And suddenly I realized like I didn't want my husband having to trade his health for our family's income and livelihood. And I just went all out into Doterra and decided I was going to help a ton of people. Like, now you guys, you get the point. This is my story. And me being able to speak that to people helps people get like they hear my story and they're attracted to what that means to me. And it also, one of the favorite parts that I have about sharing your story is even for your customers that never want to do the business, it helps them humanize how incredible the opportunity within Doterra is, like how awesome it is. And it kind of takes down some of those barriers that people have around like network marketing and like pyramid schemes and all that stuff. And they're like, wait, I like kind of like this Doterra stuff. She's cool. I love her story. Like, it helps humanize that. And so understanding your story is so important, and being confident in how you share that, why you love doing this as a business.
Yeah. So when we're talking about finding a builder, launching a builder, let's get a little bit more clear on what we are talking about. So builders are people who have goals, they're actively enrolling customers, and they're recruiting and launching builders. There's other ways that we could define a builder.
Wait. So are builders people that say they want to be diamond? I'm joking, because I have had so many people tell me that they would love to be such and such and such and such. And I have just learned over time that action speaks so much louder than words. And I say that because I want y'all to like have that deep within you too, because action is a big deal.
Yeah. It's great if someone says, I would like to be diamond.
It is great.
Awesome. Let's
go.
Let's get a plan together to figure out how to make that happen. A lot of times people see like the average earnings and they're like, that number looks great, which is how a lot of us started, or at least it piqued our interest. That's not a bad thing. But like Kristen said, it's people who are like committed to the process, that those are who we're looking for, builders. Like a builder literally is like creating something. They're putting pieces together. They're building a structure. They're putting, like we like to use the word of, or the term of a pipeline. They're putting a pipeline together. That's who we're looking for. Now, on your journey of looking for builders, you will find people who are sharers, obviously customers, like that's what the bulk of our business is built off of. But you'll find shares. So when I say there's room for everyone, that's what I mean is like, just because someone's not like, I want to be diamond and I'm showing up with the effort to get there. If they're just sharing casually, enrolling a couple people here and there, teaching, sampling, educating, but they don't want to go like super far with it, that's okay. There is still room, and there's like those types of people are needed and great to have.
The most important part is honestly that you have clarity, and that's why we love the three-way call process. We'll talk about that more later, but there truly is room for everyone. And I love the terms on here, capable and committed, because when somebody tells me they want to build with Doterra, I'm usually like testing in little ways. Like I'm trying to think of like, I'll tell people sign up for the daily mentor calls, start listening to those calls, or like I'll ask them questions like, who comes to your mind, or like start writing your names list, or like we'll have little things to see if they're committed. Like, do they do the things they say they're going to do? If they want to build this, are they going to follow through with what they're saying? It could be anything. Elise at her training talks about like, you could tell your person that's interested in the business to like run down the street in a pink tutu, and that would show their commitment. I'm like, I'm clearly not going to do that, but you just want to see if they actually follow through. And that could be showing up to a 201 class about essential oils or something like that. And then capability is a separate thing. Capability is, are they able to get other people excited about the product or about the business? So if you just tell them like, hey, we have a class on Thursday night, which we do on the LDC, this Thursday night, and you say like, if you have a couple people that are excited and you've been talking to them about oils already, feel free to invite them, and you just see what happens, like see if they're able to get people to show up. And then I think a lot of you guys already know about Elise's scale. If you don't, check that out on the daily mentor calls. But then the last thing that we want to add is like, it's really important to get clear on the type of person that you would love to work with. And there's different lingo that people will use for this, but some people talk about it as your avatar. And if you haven't ever spent time doing this, I really recommend this. It's kind of like the idea of a vision board, only you're thinking specifically about what kind of a builder you want to have on your team. Like what characteristics you want them to have. Like, do you want them to be a mom with young kids, or do you want them to be retired, or do you want them to be in college, or like fresh out of college? Like, who gets you excited? Do you want them to be like a couple doing it together, or a single person? What are you looking for? What like, and the cool thing is when you get clear on that, then when you meet people that have those characteristics, suddenly you're going to be like, and you start like, you recognize that person in front of you, and you might have people that are in front of you or on your team that you hadn't even thought about, but suddenly because you created your avatar, you got clear on what type of builder you want to work with, then they're going to show up and you're going to see them a lot more readily.
Yeah.
Did you want to add anything else? Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Why builders? A tale of two graphical trees. So this is a visual representation of why we want builders.
So one of the great things in Doterra is we don't have to push the business 24/7. Like, we don't want everybody doing the business. We just want the right people doing the business with us. 90% of people you enroll are customers. We freaking love customers in Doterra. They're the best. But we want to find the right people.
Yeah. So you could have a lot of customers, and your back office might look like this. Your team might look like this, which is not a bad thing. This person has hit executive at some point.
That's probably what my team looked like at the beginning, and for sure Melissa's.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of strategy at the beginning. But this is just a lot of customers, a lot of enrollments. There's some LRPs on here. The circles mean 100 PV LRP. The squares mean less than 100 PV LRP. So there's some residual income coming from this, but honestly, not a lot, because without builders, we're not getting the depth in our organizations. We're not able to rank advance and get those extra bonuses. And it's addition. Every enrollment is 1 + 1 + 1. Whereas you can see, contrast that by this team down here. These are two real teams that I took from our back office. And this team is beautiful. I was kind of nerding out when I took this. I'm like, this looks so great. And this is what multiplication looks like. It's not 1 + 1 + 1. It's like every month when you have a team of people that are all sharing and inviting and enrolling and supporting, you see exponential growth, not just 1 + 1. You see a curve. And this is what we are going for. So that's why we're talking about finding builders.
And if you guys have questions as we go through this, make sure to add them to the chat box. Like really, if some of this stuff doesn't make sense, we want to talk about that stuff tonight. So don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have the question, likely other people do too. So Tyler already kind of touched on this stuff. Yeah.
The only thing I didn't say is team is better than just me.
Yeah.
But again, we could add 10 more reasons to this list of why we want builders. Okay, so a little bit about placements. This is a busy slide. So what do you do as soon as you've had a business overview or you've talked casually with someone about Doterra, you've shared your excitement and asked if they'd be interested in learning more? Maybe you use the build guide from Doterra that kind of outlines the very basic information about what it looks like to earn income with Doterra.
Or I would say more common than that, a lot of times people come to your one-on-one class and at the end they hear about the business and they say, I'm actually interested in doing that. Or they come to one of our 201 continuing education classes and they're like, I'm interested in doing that.
Yeah. So once they've had some kind of an exposure, we call that an exposure, and they're like, I think I want to do this. At that point, you would schedule a 3-way call with your upline, at least silver or above. And your silver or above upline can help you determine like a schedule and all those types of things. But during that call, your upline, your new potential builder, and you, the three of you, that's why it's called a 3-way call, will determine if Doterra is a good fit for this person. They'll talk a little bit about goals. It's just a lot of questions, getting information from the potential builder, and then scheduling a follow-up call with this person to kind of present a plan of like, this is what it looks like to get started. And what I'm talking about right now is daily mentor calls 37 and 38, just for reference.
So one of my very favorite parts of the 3-way call process is how the first call, if you guys have not been a part of one, it's honestly really powerful because the first call is all the upline asking the person that's interested in the business about why they're interested. And I just want to talk about this for a second, because again, this is another way where Doterra is so different from other network marketing companies, because when somebody joins us in the business, we want it to be as much as possible all about them and how the business is going to help support them. So the same way as when you work with a customer, you're working to find their like pain point. You're looking to find like the problem in their life that Doterra has products to solve. And it's the same with the business. The business is just another product that we have in a lot of ways. And when you're doing that first daily mentor call, you're identifying their pain point, their problem, what they have going on, and how Doterra is going to help them with that. And you're going to have that like to be able to come back to time and time again. So then when you're helping them launch, the launch isn't about you and what you're getting from their growth. Their launch is about them and how you're helping them create residual income for their goals with their family.
Yeah. And since we're talking about placements, I just wanted to bring this back in front of our minds of like what we're going for, which honestly, this bottom organization is like a really good representation. But it's this part down here. All we are doing is duplicating. Step one is for ourselves to launch our own business and get to the rank of elite as quickly as possible. In that process, identifying 2 or 3 partners or builders that want to do this work with us.
Hopefully. It doesn't always
It doesn't
happen in the
always
launch,
happen like
and
that.
that's
That's
okay.
ideal.
Yeah.
Step 2 is helping 3 partners get to the rank, get each of them to the rank of elite. So we hit elite, help each of them get to the rank of elite. So they're elite, which makes us silver. And then step 3 is helping each of our 3 partners find their own 3 partners, launch, and get to the rank of elite. Like, this is a very fluid process. It's not like one stops and the other starts. They overlap and intersect. But in a very basic form, this is what we're trying to do. And once we get to this step 3, our three partners, our 3 builders, each have their 3 people. So they're each elite. That makes us, or that makes our partners silver and us platinum. You do that a 4th time. A 4th silver makes you diamond.
Good stuff. So how do you find builders? This is what we wanted the call to be about, right? Finding builders, there's like multiple different ways. And I wouldn't even say that everything I have on the slide, like these are the only options, but these are just the ways that I've personally experienced. And for all you leaders on the call that have your own experiences, feel free to share them in the chat box.
Yes, definitely share it. Like, if you're like, I've got a builder from something that's not on this screen, please type that in.
So the first way that we find builders, I would say this is the most like normal way is from existing customers. And this is how I started my journey with Doterra. I was not intentional sharing the business at all. I honestly did it very passively, and I don't really recommend it, but it's possible if you're into like just like waiting a really long time and doing a lot of nurturing with customers. But basically, you can work with your existing customers and over time wait for people to fall in love with the product, and then hopefully they approach you about being interested. Again, very passive, but it's through exposures with the product, because the product is that good that oftentimes there are people that surface that way. And within that, some of the ways that I like to be really intentional, I encourage you all to kind of break down how, like, as I expose people to Doterra as a product, how do I normalize the business and give them like micro little exposures to the business and kind of like just like plant these little seeds. Mm-hmm. And the daily mentor calls has really helped me like see vision for that. So the first thing is at an intro class. I remember when we launched Andi Larson back a year ago, we followed the daily mentor call format. I asked her, I was like, Andi, like I've been listening to these calls and she teaches you how to briefly talk about the business at the end. It like makes me a little uncomfortable. I've never done it before, but do you think we should do it? And she's like, well, it makes me kind of nervous too, but let's do it. And we did it. And that was how Andi found her very first builder at her very first class. And her name is Jill Nelson, and she's a premier on the LDC. So that's one way. Then when you're actually enrolling somebody, whenever I'm on the phone or I'm working with somebody face to face and I'm helping to make sure we have all the info we need to enroll them, I ask them very intentionally. I do not assume. I ask them every single time. I mean, there's sometimes I forget. As much as possible, I always ask. I will say there's technically 2 types of accounts within Doterra. There's a wholesale customer account and there's a wellness advocate account. The only difference, like they get the same perks. The only difference is that a wellness advocate qualifies to earn commission if you're sharing with friends and stuff like that. Which type of account do you prefer? And then I just
quiet
let them answer. And it's surprising because you'll have a lot of people that will say like, well, I mean, say most. Can I upgrade later if I want to? And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, it's free to upgrade, but we can totally start you as a wholesale customer, and down the line, I can help you upgrade once you're sharing with friends.
But I think that's super, like, I am in the background a lot of times when Kristen is having these conversations. And I would say most people will say, if I think like they'll ask like, can I upgrade down the road? Can I switch to a wellness or a wellness advocate down the road? But even that question just gets people to think like, oh, this is a like the thought goes through their mind like, I could do this. Do I want to do this? Like, what would it look like for me to do this? Like, all those thoughts are going through their mind just in that really simple, really easy question. That's a natural part of the process that we're doing already. I think that's like
And I love that
a
it
really
builds
big
trust too,
thing.
because when they say like, can I upgrade later? I'm like, yeah, you can start as a wholesale customer though. It's like they see, I'm not pressuring them or pushing them to do any business.
Yeah.
I'm like wanting them to do it if they
Giving
want
them
to,
the
because it's an
options.
awesome perk. So it, again, builds trust. The next exposure would be at 201 classes, and we'll be as we go through our 201 classes for the year, there's always a brief portion at the end where we can share again about what the doTERRA business is. The second thing is a direct invite from somebody that's in your network. So this could be friends, family, coworkers, community, like anybody. And we've done this. This actually started for us when we were launching Sarah and Jeff Jones this fall. We got really clear on this process. And so if you're interested in this, let us know. But basically having a 30-minute opportunity meeting that you can invite people to. So you call them on the phone and you say, hey, well, first you text them and you say something along the lines of like, hey, hope you're well. I wanted to catch up with you on the phone. I have something specific I'd like to talk to you about that's business related. When's a good time that we can talk? Something along those lines. And then when you talk to them on the phone, letting them know like, hey, I'm doing a business with doTERRA. I love it, blah, blah, blah. This is why. And I thought of you because of this. And then you encourage them in something you love about them, or you talk about a need you've seen or talked with them about. And you say, and I'm having a brief overview about it for 30 minutes Thursday night. Would you be up for just being a fly on the wall, just listening and considering it, sitting with the idea? There's no pressure. If you don't want to do it, I support that, but I think you'd be awesome at it. Would you be up for joining that overview? And that's been super successful. I will also say the people that say no, because we've had people that have said no, or even people that have shown up to the call and said, well, not yet, those sorts of things. Like I've had people say, thanks so much for thinking of me. Thanks for calling me. Like I've never had anything go wrong where it ruins a relationship.
Yeah.
And then the third way to find builders is through referrals. And so this piece, I really suggest to you, like, do not skip these first two things. Like if you've not directly invited to some people in your network to do doTERRA as a business, do not skip to step 3. But step 3 can be helpful if you feel like you've really worked through a lot of your warm network and you already have a lot of customers in the pipeline and you're just like waiting for some of them to circle around and be ready. Then this third option is asking, like creating a unique names list, which means Elise walks through all this, but it's creating a list of people that you know that are really influential. And you reach out to them and you ask for a referral. And we've done this as well. This is how we found one of our builders in Orlando, Florida. She was a referral from my first boss that I ever worked for. And then fourth, social media. Not like blasting about this opportunity all the time, but little intentional drips, whether it's like very passive and it's just you showing what you do and how you love it, or sharing testimonials. This is my favorite way. Sharing testimonials from the customers that you work with and you get an impact. You doing that and just living life and being confident in what you do is big. It's a big deal. And then second, I actually, this last year during coronavirus, did a more specific like call out of like, this is what our team has done in doTERRA, or like, this is what I love about the doTERRA business. I had this flow, if you want to see it, I think it's in the highlights of my Instagram. And then I like basically did if you're interested, reach out to me. And actually one of my friends who had been a customer on my team for 4 years, Haley Stimson, reached out to me, I think after that social media process. And yeah, anyways, I could share other stories, but social media is a great way to just drip on people. And again, normalize things and help them see the positive benefits, especially the people that are like kind of at the outskirts. Like they're not, I don't know, they're like, yeah. the people that you're not connecting with regularly, this is really helpful to drip on them. So a reminder that success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. I truly believe that people that are the most successful in doTERRA are the ones that are in it for the long haul, because most people, unfortunately, see a lot of their friends that step into this get rich quick scheme, or whatever they call it, pyramid scheme, blah, 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 all the stupid stuff. And they think like, oh, I wonder how long that's going to last. Or like internally, I mean, I have done that.
What?
I shouldn't have.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have thought that sometimes.
About other people.
Yeah, about
Other
other
companies.
people and other companies. But a reminder that your consistency in showing up and serving people speaks volumes to, number one, doTERRA as a product and how incredible it is, because they see your belief through your consistency of showing up to teach people about it. So I just can't encourage you enough that over time, those continued efforts pay off. Like, I mean, even within the last year, I've had multiple people reach out to me as customers. And then one of them has been interested in the business because of a referral. They just heard that I do doTERRA, like through multiple people, my name came up. And that is what happens over time as you consistently show up and offer value to people.
Yeah.
So tips for finding builders. Number one, do you want to share this?
Sure. I think it's important to invite people to learn about doTERRA when you are either asking for a referral or you're reaching out to someone in your warm market directly. Not putting people on the spot.
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake. That is a mistake that I have made.
Me too.
And
people's default is no if you ask them to answer on the spot.
Yeah.
In my experience.
And mine would be too, honestly. But asking more so, like asking people to come to an opportunity meeting or to set up a time where you can talk about it, or you can meet and go through the business overview, or just inviting people to learn and to consider it is a much easier and much more natural ask than saying like, hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to do it with me? Like, that's like, whoa, like, I don't know. So just keep that in mind. Kristen just talked about consistency in our work, and it's true. Like, it seems like we've been doing this a long time. It's been 5 years, and that's not like over the course of a career, like that's not a very long time. And we've had so many people over the years, like customers and business partners, like have lots and lots of exposures and touches that come back a year or two later. Mm-hmm. We're definitely in it for the long game.
Yeah.
People are drawn to people who are making a difference. So this is kind of like what Kristen was talking about on social media. People are always watching, right? It's kind of a weird phenomenon going on in our current world. But just showing up consistently, like people are drawn to people who are making a difference. Like sharing testimonies is a big deal. Mm-hmm. Sharing about like how excited you are about this work or about this company. doTERRA puts out so much stuff for free that we could share about the science, about the sourcing model, about the Healing Hands Foundation. Like there's so many ways that we can share like why we love the company, why we love the network marketing model, why we love the products, the difference the products are making, all those things. And over time, this doesn't have to just be on social media, but it can be. Over time, people are drawn to that. And at the same time, it also like builds our own belief in what we're doing, and we can be active in doing that work too. And then being clear on your why. When we are clear and we're excited about what we're doing, again, people are going to be drawn into that and be more open to at least considering joining us in this work.
Yeah. So how to launch? First of all, the number one most important thing in a launch is to really create momentum. And I've been hitting this kind of hard recently in 3-way calls, because I want every new builder that I help get started, or every new builder that's launching on the LBC, to know that momentum is going to be the biggest thing that serves them in their business, because that slow on ramp makes people want to quit, because they're like, wait, this is harder than I thought. Whereas if you can help them work really hard from the get-go to create some really great momentum, like I always think of Andi, when she first launched, she literally had a builder that was like, now I want to get launched, from the very start. So it was like, even if she got to a place, honestly, that was feeling harder, she's like, wait, well, Jill's doing it, I got to keep going. And she's actually like shared that with me before. Hopefully it's okay that I'm saying that, Andi. But I think for me, it was the same thing from the start. Melissa Christopher was my office manager, and her and I decided we were going to teach classes together. And when you have that camaraderie in doing the business, it makes it easier to push through the seasons that are a little harder, or the seasons that call you to personal development and to reflect and to like grow and go through the hard stuff. Like, it's easier to do that when you have amazing teammates that you're trying to support, to help them see success as well. So daily mentor calls 32 and 40 really beautifully outline a perfect launch. So we didn't really feel like we needed to go through all that, but we wanted to add in some pieces along with this from our own experience. Again, to create successful momentum from the start, you really want to help a leader, or you personally as a leader yourself, you want to hit elite as quickly as possible. And when you, again, like creating that successful momentum from the start serves you so much. I don't need to share that story. So I always encourage leaders to set a goal of connecting with like 30 to 40 people right away during your launch process, and then inviting them either to like a traditional Elise style launch is doing 4 launch classes in 1 week. And if I have somebody that's more like part-time, then I'm going to recommend like 2 or 3 launch classes. But for somebody that wants to get to like Premier, Silver, Gold or higher, I'm recommending to do 4 classes, or they could do like 2 classes and invite to one of our essential oil experiences, or you guys also know them as studies. But an example would be inviting like 5 people to an essential oil experience is not a launch. It's not a launch. And the reason some people can do an experience as their launch, but it takes a special sort of person. And I just think there's a lot of magic that happens in the consistency of teaching 3 to 4 classes for your leader. Number one, it is their class and they have to own it. They're the one sampling and inviting to that class. They're the one responsible to like have people for the class to even happen. An experience is going to happen no matter what. So it doesn't create the same like urgency and excitement that a class does. And that's one of the reasons I love a class. Number two, when you're teaching a class for your leader, when you hit that like 2nd, 3rd, 4th class, you can ask them to share in it. And there's also magic when you let them step in and share their own experience and start like experiencing what it's like to teach a class and to lead people in that way. And I know it's a trickier environment, but I will say that in-person launch classes are also way better than online classes. And it's because a screen just does not have the same ability to create like the same atmosphere to show your like care and your intentionality to serve that a screen allows. And so, in person is a lot more personal. It feels more service education based, and a screen can just add a dimension of disconnection that makes it feel more like a sales experience. Not that it is completely that, but you get the point. So, our experiences would just be like, we've seen people successfully do 4 classes all in a row as a normal launch that's been extremely successful. And then we've also seen people that have done experiences blended with a couple classes. And then we've had one couple successfully launch doing exclusively inviting to like a study experience, but they also were doing opportunity calls and teaching them about the business. So they had both of those things going. So one thing that we wanted to share with you guys that we're really excited about is that we actually made a getting started checklist. And I'm gonna just briefly exit our PowerPoint to show you guys this checklist. We're not gonna go through all the details because you can do that on your own time. But this is the getting started checklist, and you're not gonna be able to read it all, but in summary, this first page is really all someone would need to successfully launch and earn money with Doterra.
It's a lot of the things that we are talking about tonight with a couple more administrative things, but it's all like on one sheet. If you handed this to someone to get started and you're mentoring them in this, they can go line by line to get set up to launch their Doterra business.
So then on the next sheets, this has all the daily mentor calls, the topics. So then if you're sitting there working with your new leader, you can highlight and encourage them to listen to certain calls because you have the topics right there. And then this is a more like detailed checklist. This is for all of my lovely Enneagram ones, all of my friends that have learner in their top 5. All of my strategic friends, you are just gonna love this. All of my activators, you're like, meh, meh, meh. I'll like set that to the side till I really need it. But anyways, this will go through more details of like sponsorship, placements, a video on why to partner with Doterra, how to update your like profile image on your Doterra website. Some of you guys don't even know that you can do that, and I love that. But you can. It has our Facebook group information, a community calendar, just kind of like a collect-all for the important things you want your leaders to have access to all in one hub.
But they're not necessary to get started.
Yeah, but they're not 100% necessary to get started. And then this is just like kind of like a more elaborate or built out process for the launch. So again, it's just more detailed than that first page. So this is about preparing, and this gives your wellness advocate just different options to be able to learn about essential oils in general and learn about the enrollment kits. And then also remembering you're never going to know all the answers, so you don't have to learn everything before you start. And then a month 1 process, it includes some of the Doterra empowered success stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. And then month 2 just kind of talks about the continuation plan as you build your business beyond the launch. And yeah, just some like helpful little questions and success schedules, and then all these helpful numbers that you want your leaders to know, because you don't want them texting you 24/7 with all the questions. Well, you do. You love working with them, but you know what I mean? Like,
but they
you
can
want
get
them
answers faster.
Yes, they can get answers faster a lot of times through some of these people. And sometimes you don't even know the answers. So you want them to know these numbers to be able to call. So yes,
Are we sharing that?
We'll
put it in the chat.
We'll share this link for sure on the Wellness Leaders Facebook page. And then
we'll this will be something that we'll continuously update, so you guys can access it whenever. But we will always be like,
yeah, and if there's things that you think need tweaking, please
yes,
let us know. Here it is in the chat box for y'all. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. So then some other tools and resources we wanted to highlight. We already talked about the Getting Started guide. We've already talked elaborately about the daily mentor calls.
I'm curious, how many of you have listened to all the Find a Builder calls?
The Find a Builder calls are separate from the normal daily mentor calls. It's a whole separate tab.
Drop down. So there's 50 daily mentor calls, but then there's 10. I think there's 9 or 10 Find a Builder calls.
Mm-hmm.
And they are longer, but they are really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Doterra's Empowered Success Guides. Do you want to explain these?
Yeah. Do you want to go to that website? That would be easiest. So on Doterra's website, under
If you search Doterra Empowered Success, it's going to pop up.
Yeah. So when you log in, you get another tab here, but you can search for it. So Empowered Success is Doterra's business training system, and they have lots of resources here. But what we're specifically talking about is these guides. So like the live guide for the wellness overview, they call it the lifestyle overview. Same thing. It's a guide. Like you can have it either as a PDF. So if you click on it, you can say like download now. It just pulls up as a PDF. Or you can buy actual physical copies of them. They're beautiful. They're really well done. We really highly recommend these for wellness consults. And then we don't like that.
We
one
don't
so
really
much.
use the share guide,
The build,
to be honest.
The build
you can,
guide.
if you want.
The build guide is amazing. Since we're here, I'll just share this. I asked Kristen. So this is kind of like the A to Z guides that we use, but with one major difference. I was like, Chris, why don't we use these Healthy Can Be Simple guides? She said, because they're compliant. So because doTERRA produces them and sells them, they can't say things like use frankincense for whatever. What would they? I don't even know what they would say.
Cancer.
Like they wouldn't list disease or ailment or anything like that, and then associated essential oil or product. They're more like they use terms like discomfort or
head tension
or seasonal threats.
It's really annoying.
So that's why we use the A to Z guides. Anyway, the build guide is amazing.
And this is perfect for business consults.
Yes. So business overview guide. This will go over, like, it will give the comparison of hauling buckets versus building a pipeline.
Why doTERRA?
A little bit about doTERRA, the company, why it's different than other companies, a little bit about the compensation plan, so on and so forth, the work, choose your path, that kind of stuff.
And then the last thing that we'll highlight for the Empowered Success is that they have really great guides for you to focus on. This thing is huge.
It's brand new.
It's brand new. It's a lot though. These are specific rank guides, which if you don't have strategy in your top 5, I actually highly recommend you to work through these, because they help you get a lot more clear and build out some of that strategy required to get to different ranks within doTERRA.
Yeah, just to give you a picture of what they look like. So train to Premier in Silver, and then it kind of gives you action steps for those ranks, what to focus on. And then this will actually show, like, help you map out, like, how many builders do I need? Where does the volume need to be? What is the volume usually? And then what do I need to do to make sure I hit my goal? So pretty great. This is a Power of 3 tracker.
Yeah. So the last thing that I'll say about this is that's a lot that we just threw at y'all. So just remember that you don't just get into action. Imperfect action is better than no action.
Yeah.
These are meant to be tools. And they're available. They are not like must-haves. Remember, even for yourselves, like that simple getting started checklist. So many of you guys are doing great things and you've never even seen the Empowered Success guides before, and that's okay. So the action steps that we wanted to leave you guys with is, first of all, again, we talked about this during the call, but really get clear on how are you consistently sharing the business opportunity with doTERRA?
Yeah.
Like, do you have customers on your team that have never heard that there's a business opportunity? Like, you've never said anything about it to them? Because I did that in the beginning, and I don't recommend it. And I really encourage you, just think about, like, within your flow of how you take care of customers, how are you just sharing it? How are you sprinkling those seeds? The second thing is, if you are in a place where you more urgently need a builder, then you're going to want to ask yourself the question, how would you like to shift your approach to finding builders? Maybe what you're doing right now hasn't been working and you want to approach something different, or maybe there's something, like, this is what I've done to myself. There's something I know I could do to find a builder. I just don't want to get uncomfortable. And so I will do everything else in my business and distract myself from that one thing that I know I could do. And so when we listened to the Find a Builder calls this summer, that was like one of those things where I'm like, I knew I just had to buckle down and do those. And so I did different things to set myself up for success, to put those things in motion. And some of you need to ask yourself the same question. How do you need to shift your approach? And that might require you getting a little bit uncomfortable, or like practicing scripts, whatever it is. Have somebody reach out to somebody on the LDC that's in a similar spot to you that you relate to, and ask for accountability. That is one of the number one ways that I have gotten uncomfortable. Is I have a friend named Jen Panza. She's a Jen Rohr now. She's a Blue Diamond, and we hold each other accountable. And I love her for that. And she's cross-lined to me. So it's way different than Callie Kenny, my enroller, holding me accountable. The third thing is, if this is applicable to you, listen to the Find a Builder trainings at dailymentorcalls.com. And then fourth, use the build guide from Empowered Success to share. To save. Oh, to save.
Use the Getting Started guide.
Yeah, and then use the Getting Started guide with your new builders. So I love this quote. It's so challenging, even for me. My success is up to me. I determine the actions I take. I seek and gain the necessary training to increase my results. Some of you guys like take a screenshot of this. I continually break through limiting beliefs, build my character, and expand my influence as I reach my goals. And I love this because to me, there's like so much freedom in taking like ownership over your success, over your actions. Instead of like, the world likes to do this thing of like, I can't succeed because of that. I can't succeed because of that. But like when we can really reflect and realize like our success is up to us, like then we start to see new options. We start to see new ways that we can grow. And I will just tell you, like, personal growth, it's not an easy thing, but it's so worthwhile. So worthwhile. If you want to laugh, you can go to our YouTube channel called LDC Wellness Leaders. And I still have all my like first 10 steps to silver. That was like when I was like brand new baby silver. And I made up my own program called 10 Steps to Silver.
That's great.
And I think I said every other word. I had no beautiful PowerPoints. Yeah. You can laugh and then you can be like, oh, wow, she's changed a lot. And that's hopefully, yeah, that's the beautiful piece of Doterra. And the gift that it gives us is that personal development affects us in every single way in our life. It's not just in our businesses. Mm-hmm. So now I want to take some time for questions.